sense that you have found a very comfortable position. Well done, you. I think it's so important this time of year, especially, to take those moments to just find a little bit of comfort. Any time where you've got a spare sort of free moment should be filled with comfort and lovely things, very lovely things. Now, for me, at this time of year, I very much like to surround myself with lovely things, and for me that comes in the form of tasty treats. And I won't go on about that too much, but I think that's one of the ultimate comforts this time of year. And another thing for me is all of the sort of sounds that I sort of associate with winter and the season. And you may be watching somewhere that is very, very warm right now, but I'm sure you can appreciate still the sound of sort of crackling fire, or rain, snow falling against a window. It just sort of fills you with lovely coziness. That's what we need, definitely. So, I would like to ask you how your day has been, because I feel like not enough people take the has maybe been unwell or all of that. And I won't dwell on all of that too much, but obviously, you know, this year hasn't gone as planned. I know that I had many things that I wanted to do, but at the same time, those moments where, you know, we were basically not doing a lot because things were closed, it gave me time to work on things that I probably would never have worked on. I've tried to take the time to get a little bit healthier. I've really found a love for walking, and I don't even particularly need to walk anywhere fancy. It can be round, you know, the roads, the turnings, looking at nice houses. It can be out somewhere more, I don't want to say like countrified, but more rural. And yeah, I've really found a love for that this year. Something I wouldn't have taken as much time for, but I make sure every day, no matter the weather, I am out on a little walk. And I think that's what has been a little bit of a blessing for this year, that it has given so many people the chance to just take a moment to just stop, because we are on this constant hamster wheel, and it can sadly take something like this or something, you know, different to really make you stop and think. And I think I've learned quite a lot about myself this year. I thought that I needed particular things in my life, and I'll be honest, you know, I, just as one example, was somebody who always regularly needed to go shopping. I love fashion, I love clothes, despite the fact that I typically live in the same jumper that I have multiples of in the winter. But typically I do love clothes and fashion, and I would always be buying stuff in the shops, and it's given us time, I guess, this year to just reflect on what means a lot to us and what doesn't. And yeah, that's my ramble about this year over with. We can all move on with our lives now. That's happened. But it's good to reflect, and I want you to do the same now, because whilst videos like this can be a little bit self-indulgent, having a little sort of ramble to oneself, as always, this is about you, and it's good to ask yourself what you value. And I actually like to do this. Oh, back to me again, sorry. I like to do this at the sort of the end of the year, typically. And I'll write down some things that I'm happy about and some things that perhaps I'd like to change or do the following year. It's very rare that I will do them, much like New Year's resolutions, but it's good to look inward sometimes, as we spend far too long looking outwards, especially at others, sometimes being envious and wanting what we don't have. And I never want you to feel like you're not doing well and what you're doing isn't enough, because it's more than enough. And I think, funnily enough, this year does sort of sum all of that up, in the sense that, you know, when all of this has been going on, you had the people who did really well fitness-wise. You know, they took the time to really work on themselves. Then you had other people who really struggled, both mentally and physically, didn't want to do anything. And when you hear both of those, you're automatically drawn towards, well, the fitness person did better. But that's not the case. Everyone is so different, and we spend so much time worrying about what everyone else is doing, and in reality we're all on our own path. We don't need to concern ourselves with others, because what's right for one person isn't right for another, and we can drive ourselves a little bit crazy. And something that I feel like I need to get printed on a picture is comparison is the thief of joy. And I strongly believe that. I need to live by it, but we'll get there maybe one day. But I never want you to compare yourself to others, especially more than ever this year. And I think it's very easy to make assumptions about people as well. You know, I think we've all had that experience where we've judged somebody and we don't really know them. And I hope that, if anything, we learn a bit people smile. I may not be the most technical person. I use very basic editing software. I produce fairly simple things, but my goal is always just to make people smile, and is going on in your life. There is a whole community of people, and I feel quite sort of emotional talking about this because it's so completely unique. And yes, I like to have a laugh and have a joke, and if you follow me on Twitter, it's just streams of sarcasm. So people never quite know if I'm being serious. But this means so much to me, and it's given me so much. And I always want you to know that, you know, this is your safe space, no matter what's going on at home or at work or college or school, whatever's going on. This is good, and it's safe, and it's nice. And in these moments where we're craving that affection, really, because if we haven't been able to see our loved ones, that's what we're craving right now. You know, this is the place that you can come to. And for those who don't get it, you know, I've spoken to friends who think this is a bit odd. You know, it used to bother me, but it doesn't anymore because I feel kind of sorry for people who don't get this, because it's such a special place. And you know, you told me about your day, and everyone here is here to listen. And do your friends or family who don't experience this have that? Do they have someone who's always there to care and listen, and who maybe feels the same things that you do? So I know that maybe you came into this and you were looking for something, whether that be sleep from my ever so relaxing British whispers, or whether it was comfort from my words. I hope you found everything you needed to know that it's okay just to be you. You never have to offer anything more. You never have to give more than you're comfortable with. And you never ever have to apologise for who you are. And whether you've been feeling a little bit more anxious and stressed than perhaps you'd like to admit, know that everyone has experienced those darker times. Perhaps this year more than ever. But we are all in this together, and we'll get through it. I don't like to use the cliche of new year, new me, but I think with every year comes an opportunity just to learn more about yourself. You don't have to have these incredible aspirations or goals. You can just want to get through the year, and if you know, have a good few months, some bad months, you know, good for you. You don't have to achieve something amazing all the time. You don't have to be doing something amazing all the time. It's okay just to exist and just to do you. And it sounds like I'm on a bit of a TED talk here, doesn't it? say whether you have great ambitions for next year or whether you just want to make it through. I believe in you. I know that you've got this. And, you know, I'm going to be here being awkward and weird and trying to make you laugh as you sleep. So, you've always got that for next year, which I'm sure you're terribly excited about. Anyway, I hope you found this somewhat comforting. If you're still here, that is, you haven't, bugged off or fallen asleep. But if you are, then thank you for listening. And know that you're amazing. You are doing so